In this video, I will show you how I went from this to this. The process is actually easier than you think. This game is based on several mechanics, and in this devlog, we'll go through 4 of them, the ones I've worked on. Let's tackle the first one, player movement. Pro tip number 1, always start with what you enjoy doing. For me, it's systems and mechanics. So I tend to work with simple shapes like circles or squares for my player, enemies, obstacles, bullets, and so on. Alright, so I've got the player in blue, enemies in red. The enemy logic is simple for now. We stall the player at start, calculate the direction of the movement, and move along that vector. I'm aware that this is not the best solution, especially if I want to add obstacles later on, but this will do for now. Pro tip number 2, make it work, then improve. You might have noticed that I'm using a joystick to control my player. I did not make that joystick from scratch. I made that in my hybrid casual course and also in a previous video, so I guess we can call it pro tip number 3, recycle your code. You will save time and ensure consistency and reliability across your projects. Once I was satisfied with the player and enemy movement, I was ready to tackle the second mechanic of the game, shooting. Like in Brotato, the player will be able to handle 6 different weapons at a time, so I had to think twice about the architecture for this. Here is what I've made so far. We've got the player, we set the weapons positions game object as a child of that player, so that all of the weapons move with the player. Then we drop a weapon as child of any weapon position we want, so that the local position of the weapon is 0, 0, 0. This will come in handy when adding weapon animations such as shooting. Such architecture will allow me to have a variety of weapons, each one with its own attributes and stats. Code-wise, I do have a scriptable object that handles the weapon data. It makes tweaking values so easy. Pro tip number 4, for unmutable data such as weapon stats, inventory items, and such, use scriptable objects. Afterward, I decided to chill a bit and create some sprites for the player and enemies. While I do enjoy coding more than making art, I find that having visually appealing images enhances the experience and makes it more enjoyable. I went on and created more sprites like a candy that enemy drops, more enemies. I actually just changed the hue of the first one. I don't think anyone will notice. And a cotton candy bullet. You might have noticed the wave count at the top of the screen. This leads us to the third mechanic, the enemy spawning. I'm going to play some footage of the game. Try and deduce the logic I've implemented. Did you get it? Okay, here is an easy one. Was this one easier? If not, please don't cheat. Rewatch the previous section. Alright, no more suspense. Here is a shot of the wave manager inside of Unity. I decided to set a fixed wave duration for now, 40 seconds. I then added a way to configure the waves with different segments. Each segment has some really specific settings: the enemy or object we want to spawn, the spawn frequency, and the time frame within which it can spawn. Let's take the first segment as an example. During that segment, we will spawn 5 ranged enemies, coming really soon, from the beginning of the wave until 30% of it. This, right here, is a min-max slider, and it does make dealing with time frames and such a breeze. It's an attribute contained in the Naughty Attributes package that you can find on GitHub or the Asset Store. It does contain a bunch more helpful attributes, and it's free. So go check it out. I'll leave some links in the description. I think we can fairly say that this is a pro tip number 5. Make, buy, or search for tools to make your life easier. Alright, on to the last mechanic now. Player stats. I intend to add many characters you can choose from in the game. Each one of these characters will have their specificities such as attack, attack speed, range, max health, move speed, critical chance, and so on. This is data that is not meant to be changed at runtime, so what should we use? Yep, scriptable objects. Notice how easy it is to switch from one player's stats to the other. Whenever I click on the update button, again using Naughty attributes, I swear I'm not paid for this, but the package will drastically improve your workflow, So yeah, I was saying, whenever I click on the update button, notice how the move speed and max health change instantly. That is again a quality of life improvement, but also no bragging intended here, because I've set up a versatile and easy to work with architecture for my code. If you want to learn how you can seamlessly apply such principles in your games, I invite you to check out my courses. I will leave some useful links with discounts in the description. With these 4 main features implemented, I'm left with a very functional game that has a certain level of polish, as you might have noticed, because I've also added stuff I did not mention yet, such as camera shake, an enemy spawn indicator, some player stat upgrades after each wave with an attack speed icon that looks like a slap, the ranged enemy I told you about previously, a level system, damage text particles that turn yellow when you make a critical hit, and a bunch more under the hood improvements. I still have a lot more things to implement though, but I'll leave that for the next devlog, so make sure to like the video if you've enjoyed the content, and subscribe to get notified when the next devlog drops. Check out the goodies in the description.